What is going on, guys? Carter here. Ooh, sounds so good. With Edged Mindset. I want to talk about the collaboration with Borka Blades. So this is a Borka Blades stitch. This is made by Sebastijan Berenji. And then this is one of his knives that's part of the collaboration he did with Microtech. So you can see his logo right up at the top there, just like what he puts on his customs. But this one is the Microtech version, and this one is the manual version. There is an automatic version, which I don't have. And then there is the Marfione custom line collaborations. And both of these, fortunately, I don't have one of the Marfione collaborations. I wish I did. Absolutely bomb knives. Really, really cool. But I do have these two. So I want to talk about this and the Marfione collaboration because it's very, very smart. Sebastijan, I assume it's coming from Sebastijan, knows what he's doing. And it's a little different than what Microtech / Marfione does with their collaborations. And it does make me wonder, like, where exactly it all comes from. Were there special stipulations in that arrangement, or did it just organically happen? So yeah, let's dive into it. First, let's talk about the production collaboration. So I'm making some assumptions here. I'm assuming that Sebastijan is really smart and intelligent and did this stuff by design. It could be wrong, could be a coincidence, I don't know, but I don't think it is. I don't think it's a coincidence that these knives are pretty different, as well as the automatic version, right? These are different. You can see there's a lot of design language that's the same, right? And it is a very bold design, and so it does translate well, without having to make it exactly the same. But objectively, these are very, very different. Like, this is a traditional titanium frame lock. It has his rock pattern, which is kind of his signature finish. He does other ones. He does blades without any rock patterns, but this is kind of his signature finish. And this is what most people are after when they buy, a Borka Blades custom knife, whether it's a fixed blade or the SB line or a stitch or a Shylock or whatever. Most people like the rock pattern, me included. You can see that this does not have that. It doesn't have it. Now, I know when they did the auto collaboration, I think the first batch they did do like a semi-custom release where it was the automatic stitch that had the rock pattern on it. But since then, it doesn't have that. Completely different locking mechanism. They've modified this blade shape. It's very derivative, but it is not the exact same. I mean, look at the opening hole. Completely different. This is the traditional opening hole. Fairly small, oval hole. And then you have this big thing right here. So very, very different. And I don't think it's a coincidence. I would assume that Sebastijan wanted to make sure to keep his custom line pure. That might be a little hyperbole there, but I think he wanted to make sure, because that's what I would do. I think he wanted to make sure that if you wanted that real stitch feel, if you wanted that real stitch look, you had to get a real stitch. The manual knives are great, and it definitely fills that kind of stitch itch, at a lower budget and things like that. But clearly, there's no direct comparison here. That's not the case for every maker. For example, I keep doing Chavez comparisons. For example, screw this. I'm not going to be lazy. I'm going to go and get I did go get a better example. So this is a full custom Chavez. So comparable to this, right? This is made by Ramon. This is a scapegoat made by Ramon. He did not do that, right? So his production knives made by Riot in China are very similar to his full customs. Very similar. In fact, I have shown this knife multiple times on the Chavez forums, and I think only one person understood what they were looking at. I think everybody else thought this was a modified Ultramar knife, right? Because there's only a few telltale characteristics, especially if you're looking at it just on the side view, that lets you know that this is a full custom, So he did not do that. And I think it does create a little brand dilution, right? Because part of the appeal, as embarrassing as it is, of getting a custom knife is showing it off and have people say, wow, it's so amazing. You're so cool that you have that. It is what it is. I'm not proud of it, but I do it, man. I love posting pictures of like cool knives like this and have people, oh yeah, it's so cool. Makes me feel good. It shouldn't, but it does. And it's somewhat reduced with knives like this because people just don't even realize. I mean, it just looks so close to the production knife. So that didn't happen here. Huge divide on both versions of the production stitches. Huge divide. Not even close to this. And they could have, right? Now, I don't know if Microtech would necessarily be able to do a production frame lock version of this knife right now. In the past, they would have been able to. You know, circa 2015, they could have made this knife pretty much similar, right? Close, really close. Titanium frame lock, contoured, all that stuff, bearings, at a production cost. I don't know if they're capable now, so maybe that's why it's kind of somewhat watered down, but I would like to think it was done at least partially on purpose so that Sebastijan wanted to keep his custom line, and keep it pretty pure. So that's one cool thing about the production version of the stitch. Now, the other interesting thing is when you get into the Marfione collaboration with Sebastijan, right? So the stitches that are part of, you know, the upper tier, the very expensive Marfione line version of the stitch is interesting as well because it's the opposite. It's really close. In fact, indistinguishable times from a Borka blade stitch, which is unusual for Microtech. Typically, Microtech, when they do collaborations, think about the Strider collaborations, the MSGs, the ones he's done with Walter Brand. I'm trying to think of... I mean, he actually did a collaboration with Emerson. Very rare. Emerson Commander. Very, very cool. But all of those, as well as the ones that I'm incapable of thinking of right now, are very Microtech-y. They take the basics of the design and they Microtech the F out of it, right? And that's kind of been their shtick, right? It's like, oh, you like Strider? Well, get a load of the Microtech Strider, the Marfione Strider, mirror polished blade, bunch of crazy futuristic pockets in it, crazy action mechanism. Like, some of the Strider collaborations are really far removed, very far removed from a Strider, very Microtech-y. It's not the case here. Like, literally, the Marfione collaborations with Sebastijan are basically just Sebastian's knives, with the exception of some finishes that he might not do, like some mirror DLC that Microtech Marfione does a lot. Maybe it has the star grind on the blade that Marfione does. You know, there's input there for sure, but not much. It's basically this knife, especially on the handle. You know, aside from the finishes, it's a stitch, and it is interesting because I wonder how that came about. I wonder if Tony was just like, you know what, I want to keep this collaboration true to your custom knives and basically just have me put some, you know, really be a true collaboration and have me just put some input, some finishes, some grinds, some things like that. We'll put both logos on it. Or if Sebastijan kind of pushed for that. And if Sebastijan was like, I don't want super Microtech-y version of my knife. Because traditionally, you would see back in the day, a stitch done by Marfione would be all Marfioned out. It'd be super futuristic. It would have crazy pockets and milling and things going on in it. It would have lock bar inserts. That's the other interesting thing. Microtech almost always techifies their collaborations, right? So they take knives on washers, they throw it on bearings, they put lock bar inserts in there, all that kind of stuff. And they don't on the Marfione Borka collaborations. It's really just a Borka that has some Microtech touches on it, which I think is cool. I think that's really, really cool. It seems like their friendship is a true friendship. It's not just a business thing. I think they're pretty close and they respect each other. And maybe that's kind of why it's a little bit different than some of the other collaborations done in the past. It's not just a thing on paper. It's a true collaboration. So, man, I would really wish I had a Marfione Stitch collaboration. Those things are just crazy expensive. They're more than a regular Stitch. And these are crazy expensive. So just bonkers, you know, and it's one of those things where could I get one? Yeah, I could get one. I could, if I sold this, or, you know, if I sold this and a few other knives, or if I just sold every production knife I have, I could get one. I just don't know if I want one that bad, you know. But all right, guys, what do you think of all of this nonsense. Comment down below what your opinion is. What do you think of the stitch? What do you think of the collaboration with Microtech? What do you think of this custom Chavez? Be honest. When I pulled this out, if you didn't see my unboxing of this, did you think this was just a customized Ultramar? Or did you recognize that it was a full custom Chavez knife right off the bat? Let me know in the comment down below. Appreciate you guys. Talk to you later.